Made that on fourth down when they needed to keep the drive moving. Now the option. He faked the catch and he'll get it. Hill with Hopkins.
What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to another video of the top 25 breakdown. Today we have number 19. Army killed it last year. Yeah, they've been on an incline really. Yeah. They've been creating a lot of success lately, and
another team that's been building for a while.
Yeah, so obviously now they're reaping all the fruits.
It's not to say that I don't know Army's history. I do know they got a few natties from back in ye old day, but still, I mean, hey. Natties are natties, and everybody's gonna claim their natties whenever they can.
Yeah.
So
shout out UCF on winning theirs last a couple years ago. Anyways, obviously looking at last season, they did pretty good, really good. Honestly, 11-2, with some tight games, especially against Oklahoma, taking them all the way down to overtime. That was really surprising. A lot of people were surprised about that.
Great game,
but yeah. It's bad. It sucks that they came short. Yeah. But honestly,
would I love to see them play spoiler. That would have been great. That would have made the game even better. Although, again, great game. The only other loss coming to Duke in the beginning of the season. Yeah.
Wait, before we move on, but do you think that if they had played Duke like in the middle of the season, do you think they could have actually beat Duke?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
because then they would have been already in like the momentum and all, like
they would have had their groove. Again, it's just like the scheme they run in the triple option that, like, I bet it takes a bit to get it going, get it used to it, especially like when you're in game time. So that first game should be a bit easier, just so you can get all the kinks out and everything like that.
Yeah. So obviously looking at 2019, they honestly have zero concerns except for like maybe one or two. And that's just
very few.
And that's just nothing on offense at all.
No offense. Good. We're good to go here.
Offense is pretty strong this year, especially for their
very strong. They're
for the team.
They're losing. Yes, you can say that they're losing their starting fullback, which is a big concern because it's a triple option. They're losing one of the slot backs, again a big concern because it's a triple option. But they already have that handled. There's already another person ready to come in, take the place for the fullback. So that's already handled, ready to go. He had PT last year. Because, I mean, as a triple option, you should be loaded in a running back position / fullback position, that you should have fresh legs often.
Right. I think one thing like Monken's done, the head coach at Army, is like he's done a really good job recruiting, especially like building depth in that offense, specifically, obviously those tailbacks and what was it you said?
Fullbacks,
and like basically offensive linemen, because they run the ball.
They got it. You have to be prepared for that, especially when they recruit at quarterback. I imagine they're kind of getting like a running back type player, where like they can take one of the running backs that they have now and maybe convert them to like a quarterback role and not really have to commit too much to the pass, because that's not their scheme.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, especially, and it's really cool that how they work things. But obviously, one of the main concerns I think is just they lose 5 of their front 7 on defense. So that'll definitely be you'll see the impact on that very quickly. That's 5 guys that you have to fill. Which is really tough, especially when you have to defend the run and like obviously screen passes and all that stuff.
Yeah. But still, it's as we know, it's Army. Everybody's gritty. I think they're going to be just fine filling those holes again, just like they are with the fullback and slot back positions. It's just that they have to. I guess the only question I have, or like the only issue I have, is like when it comes down to practicing and practice time, it's kind of tough because you have to have your practice squad O. Kind of practice, I guess, like an air raid or a spread offense.
Yeah, so it doesn't get like the full simulation of what a real like air raid team is.
Right, it doesn't get that because Army's not that type of team. So obviously, because I just mentioned, they recruit players that are ready to play the triple option. So obviously, I don't think they're going to be getting great quarterbacks that are decent quarterbacks that are going to give a good look at the starting D at a quarterback that's very capable of throwing a deep ball or dump off pass or anything like that.
Right. I think I don't know how they do it like in practice, but obviously it must be working because they're doing something right.
They're handling the business.
And then obviously another concern is also they lose their defensive coordinator. He ended up taking the job at North Carolina.
Yeah.
But they Monken did hire from within, so obviously it's going to be the same kind of style of defense. So nothing really is going to change.
Yeah, very, very minor tweaks, if any.
Yeah, but obviously they do bring back a lot of good talent, like Kelvin Hopkins Jr., obviously the quarterback. It's going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what was it? Kel Walker, Connor Slomka, Jatiel Klein, Cam Harrison, and
Glenn Coates and Christian Hayes, all starters from last year. Same people.
Yeah, coming all back.
Offense, that's on the offense side of the ball. Nobody changing, really, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously, and then obviously that's one of the bigger strengths of their team is just their offense. Their offense consistency and stability is what they have right now.
Especially that just the scheme, just the triple option. Because it's a dying scheme in college football. Sad to say, to admit it. I'm a big fan of the triple option, but because it's a dying breed, not many teams are prepared to play against a triple option.
Yeah, and it's so hard to simulate that in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I guess the team that was going to prepare for Army doesn't have players that have the wherewithal to know the in and outs of just the triple option.
Right.
So you can assume that Army is going to be clicking. Everything, all the cars are going to be spinning, and it's going to be they know it like the back of their hand.
Right, and it's so different when you see your practice squad running it, because it's more of a slowed down version of it. Yeah. Whereas when it's game time and that team that actually runs this every week,
it's tough to follow.
It's quick, it's fast paced. I mean, you just can't stop it sometimes.
Several fake reads, several fake handoffs, several fake pitches, maybe even a handoff after that, maybe a fake pitch read. RPO kind of option. It's crazy, and that's why I love it so much. Because you can do so many different things out of it, confuse the defense, and I think it's deadly. I think triple options it'll break a good team down. So.
It will definitely break, especially the defensive line. They could either destroy the defensive line or just their linebackers. I mean, it honestly just destroys everything on the defense.
Yeah, it causes mayhem, it causes havoc, and it can make your top 5 defensive line team or person that you have in your mind and make him look silly. It can be Clemson's. I'm willing to say, I'll put my name out there. I'm willing to say that it can be Clemson's 2018 Clemson's defensive line against a triple option, and they might look silly a good amount of time.
Wasn't it last year that wasn't it Alabama that played? I think some triple option team last year.
Last year?
Yeah,
I don't recall.
I'm pretty sure that so obviously speaking of the triple option, I think it was the Citadel that when they played Alabama last year, that Alabama had a little trouble dealing with that.
Yeah, it held them scoreless for the first quarter. Yeah, or they run a triple option or they have a package of this flex bone type scheme. 100%. So that really backs up my claim that it'll make your best teams, it'll put them back on their heels a bit, and get them worried and thinking about, dang, I gotta really pay attention to where the ball's going or who's getting the ball
exactly
right off the jump, because that triple option runs fast, and I am super hyped about it. I'm a big fan,
especially when you have a great quarterback like Kelvin Hopkins Jr. Obviously, that's gonna make a huge difference when you have the right quarterback running that that system, that scheme, that's just so hard to defend sometimes.
And especially because Army, took a big step forward offensively in the sense that Kelvin Hopkins Jr. can actually throw the ball, unlike Terry Bradshaw from. Is it Terry Bradshaw? Is that correct?
No, it was Terry Bradshaw. It was Ahmad Bradshaw.
Ahmad Bradshaw. Excuse me. Wow. Yeah, Terry Bradshaw was you back in the day.
Yeah, the old quarterback.
My bad. But Bradshaw from last year, I think he completed 33% of his passes. Wow. What's his name?
Kelvin Hopkins.
Kelvin Hopkins completed about 56%. So it's a huge jump. And obviously it's not the best numbers, but it's good for Army standards.
Yeah, obviously, and then quarterback play, obviously, like we said, and then obviously coaching makes a huge difference as well. Monken's been there for about 7 years now. This will be his 6th year. What is it?
6 years. This should be his 6th year.
This should be his 6th year. So obviously that stability of having him every year is huge and beneficial to the team. So, and obviously moving on to the weaknesses, I think one of the weaknesses, if you want to just be nitpicky, is I guess the center, it's brand new kind of. They are they did lose Bryce Holland, but Jack Sides is going to move from guard to center, and he was actually a backup at guard, but he still got like experience with the first teams in games and several games. So I mean, that's not really a huge deal. But if you want to just like be like, oh, what's really like wrong with it?
Right.
I guess that's one of the dings. But I think you'll be fine.
As well as I mentioned earlier, just preparation, preparing the Army's defense for other offensive schemes, since Army doesn't recruit players that can run the spread or run a pro offense or whatever it may be. So just preparation might be a weakness for looking at the defensive side of the ball.
Also, obviously, just defense. Obviously, losing 5 of your 7s, like front of your box, it's going to make a huge difference. So, but obviously, their team is more of a next man up. It's a next man up mentality.
Gritty.
So they'll put in whoever's good and whoever can fill that position. Obviously, looking at their 2019 schedule, I mean, they really don't have anything tough except for week 2.
Yeah, nothing tough at all. Not in any college football fan standards. Not tough at all.
Yeah, this looks almost too easy.
This is a cupcake. This is probably the easiest. This is most likely going to be the easiest schedule among any college football team,
especially among the top 25 teams.
Oh, 100%. This is the easiest one.
Yeah, obviously you got Rice at Michigan, at UTSA, Morgan State, a bye, Tulane at Western Kentucky, at Georgia State, San Jose State, Air Force at Air Force, UMass, VMI, a bye, at Hawaii, and Navy. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but obviously they play 13 regular season games, and that's because they added Hawaii. And a lot of people don't know that.
They're traveling to Hawaii.
Yeah, so there's this Hawaii rule. If you travel to Hawaii, you get an extra game to play in the regular season. That's why a lot of teams schedule Hawaii,
so you can get an extra game.
Yeah.
So it could build a resume, but in this case, it's not really building a resume here.
Unless Hawaii somehow becomes phenomenal this year.
Then again, Hawaii does have Cole McDonald, so Hawaii should be solid, another solid team. Not great, but
they should be pretty decent,
good enough. And then Navy, that Navy and Army game, while as prolific as it is, it's always pretty close. Even if Army is at that point 10-2 or whatever, and Navy might be at 5-7 or whatever it may be, but the game's always close. Everybody loves to watch the game. What is it called? The Game of America, I think it's called, or it might be maybe known as. I might be pulling that out of my ass, but
yeah, maybe. But obviously, the biggest game on their schedule is obviously at Michigan, week 2. It's going to be a huge game, and that's the game that I am really looking forward to.
It's a noon game.
Yeah,
which I just realized. Yeah,
it'll be very interesting just because of the fact that on Michigan side, defensively, they lost a lot of like star power, a lot of defensive pieces that went on to the draft, obviously, and then you see this very high prolific triple option team.
Was very good at it. Very good at it.
And we'll see how that young defense will do against a very experienced.
I think it's safe to say that Michigan's not going to have the number 1 defense throughout the season like they were last year. So they're gonna have trouble like any other team will. They're gonna have trouble covering this triple option. And if Army can live up to their potential from last year and exceed that potential, they can probably run away with this game very early.
Yeah, I think so. But also you gotta factor in that defense might take a step back. Like Army's defense might take a step back. True. So we might actually see like a shootout.
That's fair. That's fair to say.
So obviously, what is your worst case scenario?
Worst case scenario, I'm thinking 10-2.
10-2.
I'm thinking worst case scenario, they're losing to that Michigan game. It is at Michigan in the big house.
Would it be 11-2 or just 10-3? Because they played 13 games.
10-2. Oh, I'm sorry, 11-2. I'm sorry.
11-2.
My bad. Yeah, so it'd be 11-2. Excuse me. That one of the losses coming at Michigan. It's an away game for them, which is always tough. I think it holds the most amount of fans.
Yeah.
But
the big house.
Yeah, and I think they might drop the Navy game because, like I mentioned earlier, it's always a close game. They always trading blows, and usually it's like in the snow or it's in like terrible weather. But people love to watch it, and it's always a close game. So they might drop that last one, which will hurt the ego a bit. But then again, I don't think Army's lost the Navy for a few years now. So.
Yeah, it's been a few years now. I think a most likely scenario for me is not most likely. My bad. It's a worst case scenario for me is they go 12-1. I think they lose to Michigan and that's it. I think they just sweep everybody else, and that's it.
Spank them. It's that man. I just can't wait because I always love watching triple option, and if it's a team that can run it really well, Georgia Tech, Army, Navy.
Yeah,
you love to you love to watch them. It's because it's like a work of art. It's like it's so fluid and they run it so smooth that it's hard to always keep up. Maybe even the cameraman might get shaken up a little bit.
Yeah,
who knows? But I do know that Georgia Tech is changing their offense.
Yeah, so that's like one of the things. Yeah. So what do you think the most likely scenario is for them?
Most likely scenario is going to be a 12-1 season. 12-1 regular season, because the only game is that Michigan game. They might drop that.
Okay, I think most likely for me, I think they go 13-0. I think they go into Ann Arbor, and I think they pull out the upset. I think this is a more experienced offense that the Michigan defense is going to face, especially early on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's week 2. That's right in the beginning of the season, so it's going to be one of those games where you're going to have to get ready for that game quickly. And then, so obviously, what do you think best case scenario for them is?
I'm thinking best case scenario, it's going to be undefeated, so 13-0. So 13-0 is going to be the best case scenario. They beat Michigan, may even slap them. I'm thinking like I'm just thinking the triple option is going to be too much for Michigan to handle because they're losing so many key players on the defense side of the ball. That's not to say that there's not a talent gap. There definitely is a talent gap between Michigan and Army, but I just think it's going to be too much that they won't be able to fix it in time to get themselves back inside the game. So.
Right, it could be another Appalachian State at Michigan thing happening again. But I think best case scenario for them is, I'm still gonna stick it to it. It's gonna be 13-0. I think that's the best case scenario for them, and I think that's the most likely scenario for them because obviously the schedule's easy.
And they don't have a bye week before they play Army. So Michigan plays Middle Tennessee in week 1, and then week 2 they have Army. So they don't have extra time to prepare for Army in that triple option. Or when some teams, most of the time, I think they do have. I would want an extra week to prepare for the triple option.
But you could say also they have all summer to prepare for them.
I do have all summer. That's fair because one can assume that Michigan is probably overlooking Middle Tennessee State. And looking towards either Wisconsin in week 4 or Army because you have to respect Army's record from last year 11-2. You have to respect the type of scheme they play.
Yeah, obviously. So, yeah.
That's it. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, hey guys, thanks for watching. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. It helps us out. We'll be back with next week with number 18,
Number 18.
Fresno State. Thanks, guys.